Okay, so hello everybody, and today we have Trudy. And Trudy, we'd like to ask you some questions about what it was like going through our program, the 7 weeks to alignment on steroids program. Just love that name. So Trudy, where were you before you started the program?
So before I started this program, I was stuck. I was not feeling as though I was fulfilling myself, a people pleaser, not taking the time for me.
Yeah. And how was that impacting your health, your life, your relationships?
I felt like I was cranky all the time, not trusting others. And I think that came down to because I didn't trust myself.
Well, that's powerful.
Big awareness, isn't that? Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
We don't even, when we do that, we don't even know we're doing it because we all do that.
Right. Yeah. And I look back and I think, you know what? I was snappy. I was,
Impatient.
very impatient. That's a good word. Yes. Not in control. Little things would just set me off.
And I remember being like that too. And I would be doing all these positive things and thinking I'm doing the right thing. Deep down inside, there was this resentment, this annoyance.
Because I wasn't feeling like I was fulfilling myself. I wasn't fulfilling what I wanted to do, or even on a soul level, what my soul wanted me to do. And I couldn't figure out why, of what was happening.
Right.
I remember in my first class of feng shui, first few classes of feng shui, they started every class with a meditation, and I was so impatient. I'm not here for that. Just give me the information. I want to know how to deal with this. I want to know how to deal with that. What is this business of we have to be calm and we have to, now I teach it. So that's how things change.
Yes.
When did you notice in the program that things were changing? Or how did you notice?
I would say the second weekend, or the third week for me, because I had missed the first week.
Right.
So then I did the second week, and through the tapping and the meditations and the literally getting to know myself better in just those 3 short weeks, that I could feel a change within me. I was starting to calm down. I wasn't as snappy. I was speaking my truth, sticking up for myself. Still a little scary at first, but I also noticed that by that time I was clearing my throat a lot. And to me, that tells me I'm not speaking my truth. Or whenever I do throat clearing, it's I need to learn to speak more.
Yeah.
And so I was starting to see that change then in myself. And I would say it was probably the next weekend that I started seeing the relationships that I have change. And, I was more open with my husband. He was more open with me, my daughter. I have a friend that's very negative, and when she'd start talking negative, I would say something, because I'm tired of all the negativity, especially now with COVID and everything else, that she doesn't reach out and do that as much. And I had noticed it about that time is when it was like, things are changing for me now.
Do you think that was a matter of fact? Because I remember a relationship that I had like that once, where there was one person in my life who used to call me on the phone late at night, and for some reason, I felt like I had to listen to everything that she said. She was not listening to anything that I said about me. And
Right.
she was impatient with what I wanted to talk about. But yet so do you think that was that person had an attitude of, oh, you're okay to dump on?
Yes, I know she did. Because literally we could be talking about something that's related to me, like my daughter's living with me and she might have frustrated me on something, and I would say something like, I just wish she could understand and see my point of view, and she would turn the whole thing around, and now it's about her and her sons and her daughter-in-law and her grandkids, and there was never any well, how are you today, how are you feeling? Because if I said, oh, I'm good, and then I would say, how are you? It was a total dump. Total dump.
So then one of the phrases that, I first learned from working with Jackie was, everybody wants to be seen and heard.
Yes.
And I think as society, don't acknowledge that, number one, but I think there's a lot of us that don't even realize that we're not being seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of went through something similar.
It's hard to get out of that, though. It's hard to, because you're so used to letting them take advantage of you that it's very hard to make that shift. But with the shift of energy, it helps a lot, and you don't understand that or realize it until it happens and you stop and think about it. But yeah, she still talks to me, but I mean, she will sometimes talk to me and call my kids names, but if I say anything about her or her kids, oh my gosh, I've done, it's like, sorry, but you need to learn to say no to them. Don't buy their washer and dryer and their refrigerators and stoves. Sorry, don't do it. Say no.
You have a choice, right? You don't have to do it.
That's right.
Awesome. So a lot of our calls are on Zoom. Did you think that was an advantage for you?
I did. I loved it being on Zoom because I could go into any room that I felt comfortable in and letting my energy work its way, rather than being in a huge room with a bunch of people.
That's
And I
interesting.
think, duet.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. For me, I know I'm an empath. I know, and I try to block that out when I go into public places, because I can literally feel how other people are feeling. And when I walk into large groups like that, I can feel the anxious and anxiety of others, and then I can't calm down enough to enjoy the presentation myself. So on Zoom, I think it was perfect. Even though I could see, I could still see and feel, but I was in my own space where I could block it and say, this isn't mine. But I could see when somebody else was having an issue and hard time. And I think it was more observant for you guys as well, because you could also see it without having to look out in a crowd or a bunch of people sitting around a table. You were more able to pinpoint and stop and focus on that one person.
That's great awareness. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
And I seen it. I mean, I did see it a couple of times with a couple of different participants where you would say, okay, let's focus. Are you okay? And you guys were able to jump in and help them through what they were dealing with. Whereas, like I said, I think if you're sitting around a table, people don't want to show that emotion as well. And so they're not going to enjoy it as much either.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with that, especially if you're a tendency to be an introvert.
Uh-huh.
And then the conversation usually goes to, but there's a different energy in a group of people, and sometimes ideas go flying around the room that other people can learn from. But I hear what you're saying. It's almost like on Zoom, there's a one-on-one possibility, but that doesn't happen in a room full of people. But then there's other things that you get from a room full of people that you don't get.
Right.
So that's That's great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. So how is your life now?
It's lighter. I am like decluttering everything. Um, and every time I do one thing, it's like, oh, that feels so much better. Now let's work this one and let's do this. So I've been picking and choosing of when I'm doing it. I'm not doing it every day, because I want to get that, you know, how do I say that? I want to get the feeling of this is good, and no, this all just needs to go away before it, you know. So I've literally cleaned out a closet. I've let things sit and go, you know what? Nope, don't need it. Just go. There's nothing in that box that I need. Just let it go.
That's great.
So I've literally done 3 closets that way, and all the dresser drawers, and just a little at a time, but you know, so it wasn't all everything at once. And so every room that I've touched is getting a little bit lighter as I go. And it's so like in my room, I've never really liked animals in my room, and now all of the animals went in there, and so I know it's getting lighter as I go. So even the animals are getting in on it.
Yeah.
You're talking about dogs and cats?
Yes.
Okay.
So like I cleaned out my bedroom closet, and my cats have never gone in there ever. And my daughter's cat, I've been catching her in there every night. It's like, what are you doing in here? She's just in there, just laying down, or he's just in there laying down.
Usually they go where it feels good. So
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so, but like I said, I'm starting to see things better. I'm not as snappy. When I somebody, like I had a coworker made a very snide remark on Monday. I tapped it out and I talked to the boss today, and I was like, wow, I would have never said anything before. I would have kept my mouth shut.
Good for you.
And I would have just gone. But the boss called this morning, and I said, look, we need to have a little discussion here. And if you're feeling the same way, we need to have a further discussion. And he's like, no, and I'm going to talk to him because he shouldn't talk to you that way. And I was like, it's a win.
Score.
Right? And so, yeah, so the energy is just starting to really move. And the more I really stay connected and doing it, the better I feel.
And isn't it amazing how in the past we would have like dwelled on that forever and not said anything? It'd be like weeks, right? It'd be this whole thing where you solved it in a few days. It's like, okay, next.
Yeah. Well, I had the opportunity just happened to present itself this morning. And it was like, it was supposed to be, it was meant to be right then, because as soon as I answered the phone, he says, okay, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, okay. So you're feeling my energy for some reason, because I was trying really, but that wasn't supposed to be that way. So I just told him, and I wasn't mean. I wasn't nasty. I just said, I don't appreciate being talked to like that. So things are opening up. I'm starting to speak my truth. And I feel so much better and lighter, and it's just all coming together.
Well, the decluttering in your space is also things you can do on your computer or in your life with relationships. And it's all about not dragging stuff around that is draining your energy. So what you just did was basically decluttering a relationship.
Yes.
Instead of letting, like
that is awesome.
Jackie
Yes.
said, letting it fester and create the feelings that come out as maybe anger or resentment later on. You dealt with it, ASAP, and you didn't have to go there, and it got resolved. That's just, yay.
Yay. That's what I was feeling. Yay. When I hung up the phone with him, because it was like, normally, like I said, I would have just let it go. I would have let it eat at me. I would have literally probably started looking for another job and just kind of went, you know what? But you know, today was it just the universe is working in my favor right now because
Yes, yes.
he called me when he was supposed to, and you know, so it
And
all
he
worked
backed
out.
you up. He was supporting you too. So
And he
that's
backed me up.
awesome.
So my question here is, does that make, do you understand what the sense of worthy means now?
Yes, yes, and it's very exciting to know that I am worth me taking care of myself.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. We couldn't be happier for you.
And
I'm
we're
excited. I'm happy about it.
yeah, yeah. It's funny that you talk about the lightness in your home, because I was thinking the exact same thing today or yesterday. Like, my house is lighter. I'm lighter. Like, life is just easier. Isn't it
Yes.
amazing? And it's all energy that we've shifted.
And you
the
don't realize it. You don't realize that the
No.
decluttering, all that stuff that's sitting in a closet that you don't even know is there, right? I mean, everything that I have touched, I'm like, well, where did this come from? When, how long ago what is it, you know? So I've just literally, I have boxes and I just put stuff in it. And if I still don't look at it after a couple of days, it's gone.
Yeah.
Take it away.
And that's important because you have to feel good about when you let it go and where it's going. You have to feel good
Yeah.
about that. That's all part of it. You know, I remember they had shows on television where they would have somebody go on vacation, and then they go in their house and empty the house. And I can't imagine the anxiety that created for the person that came home, because they thought they were doing something good for the person, but they weren't realizing the energetic connection that person had with all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
a process that you have to honor. And honoring the process, you're honoring yourself. So you're doing it great.
Well, good, because I was like, well, I feel like I'm so far behind in decluttering, but I just figured if I do it one thing at a time and process each thing, then I feel better about it. So, and I feel better about letting it go. So that makes a huge difference.
Excellent. Excellent. I can't tell you, in the decluttering class I had, it was a 3-day thing, and people would go home for lunch, and what they came back with was stories about how they couldn't help it, but they started cleaning out their garage after they had been to the morning session. Yeah. And then as a result of that, people in their neighborhood were cleaning out their garages, and it was just like contagious, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. We had cleaned out our garage, I think, before we even started any of this, and my husband still hasn't gotten rid of a whole lot. And every time I go in there, I'm like, oh, but it's a little at a time. I'm getting a little at a time out of him. So,
Yeah.
But he's coming around too. So he's starting to see it and saying, you know, it feels so much better in here. It's, yeah. So that he's starting to go, oh, literally, I watched him for the first time probably in 3 years get rid of some shirts. It's like, seriously? Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of these. Okay. Keep going. Keep going. I'll let you do that. Just keep going. So, you know, I mean, so usually he likes to keep everything, and he's finally going, yeah, let's just get rid of this.
And how is it affecting your children? Like when they come and visit?
Yeah.
So let's see, the two that have come over, they actually end up staying a little longer than what they thought they would. They felt more comfortable in the house. So I'd watch them, you know, literally sit on the couch and play games or do whatever they wanted, and not feel like they had to get up and leave and go do something, you know, a vacation thing. But they like to be in the house and, you know, hey, what are you cooking today? And, you know, instead of where are we going to go eat, it's what are we having at home? So,
Cool.
So I think they could feel it and not really know what they were feeling.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love about the ripple effect of this work. Like, it affects the kids and the people in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets better for everybody when we shift the energy. It's amazing.
And the ancestral clearing seems to be, oh, that seems to be helping them a lot too, without them even knowing what's happening.
Wow.
Because I see a lot more patience in like my oldest son. It's like, well, this is going on, but you know, she still hasn't answered me, so I'll try again in a couple of days, or, you know, and I'm getting responses of, you know, I can wait a couple of days, let's wait and see what happens, rather than I need this answer right now. And he's not being as harsh. And so I see that working in my kids as well. Vacationed, we went to a vacation with one of them. First time since him and his wife have been married, they actually bought us dinner 3 times. They actually paid for things without saying, hey, we're going to split this, or mom, you have this, right? Or something. It was, hey, let us buy you dinner this time. And they hadn't done that in 8 years. So the whole energy is shifting around all of them, and they're all becoming a little more giving and a little more caring and not so harsh. So it's amazing to sit back and watch.
I have chills on that one. They're all stepping into their own feeling of feeling worthy, right? Because you feel
Yes.
worthy, you're able to treat and pay for something for somebody.
Yes.
Makes you feel good. That's
Yes.
wonderful. I'm so happy for you, Trudy. Are there any other insights you want to share with anybody about the program, or anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think the program as a whole is very eye-opening and awakening.
Oh, I love that.
It really brings to light the stuff that you're carrying around and what you should get rid of. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
I want it to be a little longer. But you know.
Well, we'll think about that. And there's always a level 2.
There's a level 2, yes.
Well, you know, it's impactful though, because as you're talking, when I'm thinking about, we all think about our own experience when other people share theirs. And the experience I'm thinking about is how the generations that came before us were totally unaware.
Yes.
So how could we learn from them how to let this go if they didn't know how to let it go? And we're watching them carrying it all, you know, throughout their life. And so for us to do the work that we're doing right now, because we're all doing it together, we're shifting that sensibility of passing on stuff to the next generation they don't need.
Right. And you know, and even the next generation, they're not even aware of it until they're told that you know, I've been doing this, and then they stop and go, oh yeah, oh okay, I see the switch and the change now.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm very grateful for is I'm also clearing it for my grandchildren, and my grandchildren are seeing it and they can feel it, and I think they know even more than the generation below me.
Wow.
Just by the way they respond and react, right? One of the huge energy shifts that, and I know people think this is you know, this might sound really strange, but everywhere I have gone, dogs, they run to me. We were at my son's.
Are you the dog whisperer?
I must be. So we were at my son's, and their neighbor has this gorgeous dog. I want to call her she wasn't a lab, maybe a golden retriever. And I would get out of the car and she would just come hauling. And they would be calling her and she wouldn't stop. And they're like, she never does this. I don't know what she's doing. And she would just come up and love on me and just want me around everywhere. And then he came home for lunch one day and the dog had her ball and she come running. She seen me get out of the car and she just come a running and crying. And I was petting her and she just calmed down and was like, okay, you know, I seen you now. My son's dogs were crawling all over me and they usually didn't. So there's this huge energy shift and they're feeling it
Mm,
along with us.
mhm.
So that was like a huge telltale sign for me. Because I'm not one, I never really realized that dogs would come in, and they never really did. But right now it's like that energy shift. So I see it in that. And then that helped my younger grandkids, because he's one, the youngest is one. He doesn't know me that well, but that helped him. He was like, oh, the dog likes you. I like you too. Now here, pay attention to me, so so that whole energy shift has helped, even with me getting with the smaller grandkids. They feel it. So I say I think they feel more than even my kids do, because that generation is like, it's all about me anyway. And so they're coming out of that, and it's not all about me, and mom does have feelings, and so it's been interesting to watch.
It's great that you're aware, that you're seeing the impact from others. It's really cool.
But Pat, I don't think I would have if you guys hadn't taught me how to watch for those signs too.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good one.
Right? So that
Yeah.
was part of this learning process too. Watch for those signs. And you guys stress that a lot. Watch to see if, and I could probably say I probably wouldn't even noticed if that wasn't part of this, of watch and see and write it down.
Mm.
So that was good advice.
Okay, great.
That's good feedback.
It is, because I don't even remember saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, write it down. Watch and see, write it down. Whatever comes to you, write it down.
Write it down. Alignment, and when the energy is all set, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of energy and creativity comes through, and then we forget all these awesome things. So I've also been really making sure that I write down every awesome, there's so many awesome things that keep happening.
There it is. One thing I think you should add into this is gratitude, though. Because you say write it down, but I don't. So when I see things that are happening, I've been saying a lot of thank yous. Thank you for doing this for me. Thank you for bringing this to me. Thank you. And then I see more of it.
Yeah.
And I think if you throw that watch and see and show some gratitude, I think it'll open more up, if that makes sense. I don't know if that resonates.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's great.
So yeah, so I mean, when I see great things happening, I'm like, well, thank you. So like sometimes I'll be stressing about, well, how am I going to pay my bills? And then I get money in and I'm like, well, Trudy, you're working. It's not like you're not doing something. Thank you. You've provided for me this month, so
That's right.
so I just think if we show a little gratitude, I hear a lot of thank yous to you guys, and you guys have done great work. I absolutely love it. Let's give gratitude also to the things that are showing up now.
Yeah. That's good feedback. I think sometimes because everybody's on a different level, trying to, because you have to be aware of it. And sometimes for everybody is noticing it, but thank you for that feedback. We need to throw more of that in. Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question about creativity. Have you noticed any shift in your creativity, or have you thought about it being creative where you didn't think of it being creative before? Or, some people are focused on that and other people aren't not, but I just was curious about whether you noticed that.
I haven't noticed with my creativity. But then again, I have to take that back, because like I want to open up, put more room into my dining room. So I want to move like my table over against the wall. So it opens up more of a path into the back door, and gives me more room. I love space. I don't like to have everything, so crowded anymore. But the chandelier is right in the middle. And so my husband says, well, there's no way to do it. And I went, aha, I had an aha moment. And I went, yeah, there is. There's a chain on that. We take it, we put a hook over, and now we can move the lamp or the chandelier above the table over here. So I'm getting more creative that way. So I have to say, yeah, I've come up with creative ways to move things, to open up, so I'm not feeling so crowded, because I was really feeling crowded before, and now I'm like, let's open that, let's move that, but how can we do it to make it so that it's not so. And so I've been creative in that way.
Well, that's great, because what you're basically saying, well, creativity is what? It's just seeing a new thing, right? A
Yeah.
new a possibility, and not accepting oh, it can't work.
Right.
It can work. We just have to figure out how.
Right. And I figured out how it can work. And that was, like I said, that was an aha moment. So yeah. So I think I've become, I have to say it's opening up a little better of what I can do to make space. And even if it's just empty space, I don't care. I'm like, it's just too cluttered. It's just too much stuff. And so let's just move it, and it'll open that up.
Well, and the more you do that in one area of your life, the more that happens in other areas of your life too. It just kind of bleeds over. You just change your mindset.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, great. You're really smiling a lot compared to the first time.
Well, I'm happier. Like I said, I'm happier. Still working on my health issues, but we'll see tomorrow. We'll see how that happens. What happens tomorrow with that? But yeah, I'm lighter. Like I said, I'm not as snappy. I'm literally talking to people I don't know when I go to the store. I just, other than that, it's always been just keep your mouth shut, just get it done. Let's get out of here. And people actually come up to me in the store now and talk and say, hey, this is better than that. And I'm like, oh, okay, great.
That's amazing.
So it's been interesting and fun.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Trudy. Do you have any other questions? This has been really great.
I really appreciate it.
I have got no more questions. I'm gonna miss you guys though.
Yeah, we'll miss you too. You got to stay in touch.
Absolutely, we got to stay in touch.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.